So, Chapter 13, here's our state government in North Carolina. We have a legislative branch, which is called the General Assembly. Okay, very much similar to Congress, but Congress is the national level, General Assembly is the state level. Some powers of the General Assembly: they can make general statutes, or what we know as laws. These apply statewide, or they can also enact local laws which apply to certain counties or cities. They examine government operations, and it's called legislative oversight. They elect members of the UNC Board of Governors and the state community college system. They're responsible for impeaching and trying judges and members of the Council of State. Our General Assembly is bicameral, meaning it has two houses. The two houses are called the Senate and the House of Representatives. The biggest difference between the Senate and House of Representatives at the state level versus the national level is that it is much smaller as far as its membership. There are 50 Senate members in the state Senate, and then there are 120 representatives in the House of Representatives. Elections, we base our apportionment off of the census. The Senate has 50 districts that are drawn. There's one representative or one senator from each district. The House has 120 districts drawn, and again, just one person from each district. Members of both Senate and the House are elected for 2-year terms, and there are no limits on their terms. Qualifications: for the House, you have to be 21 years old, a citizen, and live in the district for a year. For the Senate, you have to be 25 years old, a citizen, live in the district for a year, and have lived in North Carolina for at least 2 years. This is a former longtime senator who recently passed away, who was in the news a lot because of some allegations. He was the senator for Brunswick, Columbus, and Pender counties. His name was R.C. Souls. He was a Democrat. He lived in Tabor City, was an attorney, and served for 34 years as a senator. This is our current senator for Brunswick, Columbus, and Pender counties. It's Bill Raven, lives in Southport. He's a veterinarian, and he's actually on his 5th term. This is our NC House member, our representative in the House. It's Ted Davis Jr. He lives in Wilmington. He's a business executive, and he is on his 5th term as well. General Assembly leadership: the Speaker of the House is Tim Moore. The Speaker presides over the House and makes key appointments, and then the Lieutenant Governor is the President of the Senate, much like the Vice President is the President of the Senate at the national level. President pro tempore acts as the leader of the Senate. Okay, so when he's not there, then the President pro tempore acts as the leader when the Lieutenant Governor is not there. Also, our Lieutenant Governor is Mark Robinson. Legislative sessions: the General Assembly meets in the Legislative Building in Raleigh, which is our state capital. On odd years, the General Assembly meets for a long session from January to June. On even years, the General Assembly meets for a short session, which is only 6 weeks long. Okay. So, for example, this year, they started meeting in January. They will not stop meeting until June. The Governor, the Speaker of the House, or the President of the Senate may call special sessions outside of these 2 periods. Okay. Just some recent laws that have gone in place: there's no smoking in state vehicles. Drivers are required to have insurance coverage that covers a crash with an uninsured motorist. Foreclosure mortgage servicers have to register with the state banking commissioner. Hog waste: there's a ban on open pits. There's new regulations for lagoons and stuff. No texting while driving, and then no license plate frames that cover the state name or expiration date sticker. The executive branch of our government is led by the governor. They carry out state laws, prepare budgets. The legislative proposes, approves, or vetoes. That's their power over the legislative. They can veto it. They are our commander-in-chief, which means they're in charge of the military forces of the state. Their judicial powers: they can offer pardons or grant paroles or commutations. Some ceremonial stuff: a lot of times will be used as the person to kind of greet visitors to the state, especially if those visitors are from well-known or from other places. And then, of course, they're their party leader. They lead the political party in the state. Governor serves 4-year terms. The term is limited to 2 consecutive terms. So they can't actually leave office and come back again. There was a try back in 2017 to make it where it was just 2 terms total, but it ended up not getting passed. So with our current constitution, they cannot serve more than 2 consecutive terms, but then if they left for 4 years, they could come back and run again. Qualifications: they have to be 30 years old, they have to be a U.S. citizen for at least 5 years, and they have to have lived in North Carolina 2 years before the election. Lieutenant Governor get elected for 4-year terms. They succeed the governor if something happens to them. They have to have the same qualifications as the governor. And the biggest difference between the governor and lieutenant governor and the president and vice president, our president and vice president run on the same ticket, meaning that you pick a running mate. Our governor and lieutenant governor do not. They can be run. They can run separate from each other, and you can actually have a governor who is one party and a lieutenant governor that is of the opposite party. Other executive officers, governor appoints 10 head administrators called the cabinet. A lot of times these are administration, corrections, revenue, transportation, Department of Crime and Control, Commerce, Environment and Natural Resources, Cultural Resources, Health and Human Services, Juvenile Justice, and Delinquency Protection. The Council of State, these are 8 heads of state agencies elected by voters of North Carolina. These are things such as Commissioner of Agriculture, State Treasurer, Secretary of State, Superintendent of Public Instruction, Attorney General, Secretary of Labor, Commissioner of Insurance, and State Auditor. Then there's our judicial branch. There's 2 types of trial courts. We have district courts and superior courts. District courts, the judge decides the verdict, no jury. Juvenile law, divorce and family law, mental hospital commitments, traffic violations, civil cases less than 10,000. We have superior courts. These are jury trials. They handle civil cases involving more than $10,000 and felonies. And this helps guarantee that the defendants all have a right to trial by jury. The state is divided into 8 judicial divisions, each containing several superior court districts. Each district elects superior court judges for 8-year terms. The voters also elect the clerk of court and the district attorney. Appellate courts, they hear disputes about whether the decision of the trial court should be overturned. North Carolina has 2 appellate courts, the Court of Appeals and then the state Supreme Court. So the North Carolina Court of Appeals, there's 15 appeals court judges who are elected. They serve 8-year terms. The judges hear cases in groups of 3 called panels. 2 of the 3 judges must agree in order to reach a decision. And then, of course, we have our North Carolina Supreme Court. It's the final level of state appeals, reviews cases from lower courts. It interprets the state's constitution and laws. It's made up of 7 justices. 1 serves as the Chief Justice. They get elected and serve 8-year terms. Also hears appeals of all death sentences. Unless the issue involves the U.S. Constitution, the state Supreme Court's decision is final and nobody can overturn them. So here's a way to kind of remember the level of courts here in North Carolina. The top one is North Carolina Supreme Court, then you have North Carolina Appeals Court, then North Carolina Superior Court, and the bottom is North Carolina District Court, so SASD, S-A-S-D. Some landmark court decisions by the Supreme Court here in North Carolina. We have Baird versus Singleton, which established judicial review of the court over the North Carolina Constitution. You have State versus Mann, which was a slaveholder cannot be prosecuted for attacking the enslaved. Then we had Leander versus NC, which was the state constitution does not require equal funding of education. And that's it.